Hey guys, right now it is 2:30 in the morning when I'm recording this, and I am trying to be quiet because the rest of my family is sleeping. That said, I am super excited for this episode today. Number one, it stars some of my favorite people. We have Hilary Stallings and Scott Rose, both veterans of the Nerds of Comedy. They are also 2/3 of the comedy group Faces for Radio, which is one of my favorite groups at the Push Comedy Theater. Number two, we are talking about one of my favorite movies of all time. Normally on the Nerds of Comedy, I ask the guests to bring in a movie for me to watch. This time I kind of flipped that. I made them watch one of my favorite movies. It is the 1934 screwball comedy meets murder mystery classic, The Thin Man. And it is next. I gotta keep my voice down, but it is next on the Nerds of Comedy. Welcome to the Nerds of Comedy. I am Sean Devereux here in the Push Comedy Theater with 2/3 of Faces for Radio.
Yeah!
We have Hilary Stallings, who you may remember from Drop Dead Gorgeous,
Bring It On, Cry Baby, Clue, Galaxy Quest. I'm pretty much the second most returning person besides you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And we have Mr. Scott Rose.
Thank you.
Known for Best in Show.
That's right. That's right. Which almost has more views than almost all of yours combined.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah, that's right.
Is that so?
That's right.
There has been
on you.
A little inside baseball. There has been some serious competition between these two over which of their movies gets videos gets the most likes.
It's true. I slashed Scott's tires.
I check in daily on my numbers. So
we are missing Lindsay Horn from Faces from Radio, but she doesn't really speak.
Right.
In your
she's
show.
our Foley.
Yeah, she does sound effects.
She would just make sounds.
She's really not needed. So
She's
today,
actually mute.
She is. In real life, she is mute. Today, she's going to love that. Today, we are talking about one of my favorite movies, The Thin Man. Normally, you guys pick a movie. Today, I picked the movie that I wanted you guys to watch, mainly because I love this movie for so long and nobody's seen it.
I never would have watched this movie if it weren't for you.
there's actually a funny story is, I don't know if you remember this or not. My favorite, so Faces for Radio is, the idea of it is from the Gracie Allen and George Burns radio show, right? My favorite episode of all time is Gracie thinks that she sees a murder because she's been watching the radio show of The Thin Man, and you can hear The Thin Man in the background of the radio show.
Yes, I have also listened to this episode.
That was the first one I sent you.
Yep.
Yeah.
And there's lots of gravel walking, which is one of my favorite sound effects. People walking on gravel.
It was really awesome when you sent that. I was like, oh, man.
Yes, so this was a book by Dashiell Hammond, who did The Maltese Falcon. Then it was a movie. Then they did a radio play where both William Powell and Myrna Loy came and played their characters it was the Lux Radio Theater.
That's so cool.
But they condensed it down to like 45 minutes. So like they did chop out a lot. Although watching this movie again, you could probably chop out a lot and some of the characters and subplots and be fine with it.
Yeah.
The plot of the movie is, first let's just jump to the beginning. So you guys just watched this movie for the first time. Tell me about it. What you think?
I liked it.
I also liked it. I wasn't sure if I was laughing at appropriate times or not, because it's a weird combination of really funny and also like, what is happening in this place that they're in? Yeah.
Yeah, I found myself paying more attention to like the mannerisms and the voices. I did think it was funny. It's not like laugh out loud funny. It's definitely very subtle, the humor in it. But I loved Myrna Loy, her character, and their voices, they have that affect, that like 1920s, 30s affect.
Transatlantic
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
And I just love listening to them talk.
How long has he been dead?
A couple of months anyway.
Oh, then he couldn't have committed those murders.
Smart gal.
I do too. So real quick, so for those of you who don't know, the Thin Man is William Powell and Myrna Loy. They are husband and wife. He is a retired detective, and she is a rich socialite. Her father owned like oil companies and stuff like that. So he has retired for the past couple years, and they get embroiled in this murder mystery, which he really doesn't want any part of. But she's looking for some excitement. So she keeps on pushing him to investigate this murder, which I actually like, because a lot of detective movies, the woman is like, no, don't do it. You're going to get hurt and stuff like that. And she's like, go get him, Nikki. You know, she's the one kind of driving him. And he's more like, would rather just stay at home and drink.
Nick. Nicky,
What?
you asleep?
Yes.
Good. I want to talk to you.
That's jolly.
Wouldn't you like to do a little detecting once in a while just for fun?
Can't you get to sleep?
No.
Well, maybe if you took a drink, it'd help you.
No, thanks.
Well, maybe it'd help if I took it.
Yes.
There's so much alcoholism in this movie.
Oh my God, yes. That is a running joke.
He's waking up in the middle of the night for a drink. I'm
Yes.
like, okay.
Is that my drink over there?
What are you drinking?
Rye.
Yes, that's yours.
Didn't she like faint and he poured alcohol down her throat to get her to wake up?
No, he punched her in the
Oh, he
face.
punched her in the face. That's right. Yes, to stop her from getting shot. Yes.
There are so
knocked
many.
her out.
There are so many moments. Like I said, the plot.
And she was pissed that he knocked her out. I wanted to be there for the action.
So the scene is there's a scene where a thug breaks into their apartment and is holding them at gunpoint, and he throws something at the thug, a pillow,
Yeah.
and then immediately punches her in the face to like knock her back. So when the guy just starts randomly firing, she'll be out of the line of fire. So
Which is pretty brilliant.
It really is. And again, she's not upset about getting punched.
No, she missed the
She's upset
firefight.
that she missed the excitement.
Yeah.
Maybe.
You darn fool, you didn't have to knock me out. I knew you'd take him, but I wanted to see you do it.
There's a girl with hair on her chest.
Which was kind of cool. There is some weird. There's another moment too where the lawyer comes. I think the lawyer comes. It's towards the beginning of the movie, and they mug to each other a lot. They make faces to each other a lot, and like she smacks him about, in the back of the head, and then he's
like,
Yes.
backhander.
Oh, yes, that little moment.
And they're
I
just
loved
like
that.
giggling. Yeah.
Yes.
They have great chemistry,
They
though.
do.
They have really
Yeah.
good chemistry.
They really do. So I would say, the reason why I picked this movie is, again, the plot isn't the greatest. Like I said, it's kind of hard to follow, and there's like these weird subplots that really aren't needed. But the reason why I like this movie so much is their chemistry together. I think it's kind of like in film history, one of the best ways to introduce two characters. Because you have like this setup that goes on for like 10 or 12 minutes which is the MacGuffin, the murder victim that Nick is trying to solve. But once you get through that, then you meet Nick for the first time, and you meet him. He's in a bar teaching a bartender the best way to serve
What does he say?
a Bronx.
In a waltz pattern, like the best way.
Something should be mixed
Yeah.
to this dance.
The important thing is the rhythm. You must always have rhythm in your shaking. Now, a Manhattan, you shake to foxtrot time. A Bronx to two-step time. But a dry martini, you always shake to Wallstown.
And I love the fact that he mixed his own drink, has the waiter come over so he can put it on the tray, and then
The waiter serves it to
drink
him.
it in one gulp.
Yeah.
And then he goes and sits down with his wife, and she's like, "How many have you had?"
He's like,
and
6.
he's like, 6.
Say, how many drinks have you had?
This will make 6 martinis.
All right. Will you bring me 5 more martinis? Leo, line them right up here.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going, what? Okay.
And then she wakes up hungover the next day and has
What
like
happened?
a little hat on her head. Oh, so
and then
cute.
her entrance, she's being pulled along by their dog.
Oh, the
Yes, with
dog.
Christmas presents.
Yeah, with Christmas presents.
Yeah.
And she does a face plant in the middle of this bar.
I'm not taking him. He's taking me.
Are you hurt, madam?
Oh, women and children first, boys.
Say, what is the score anyway?
Oh, so it's you he was after.
Hello, sugar.
He's dragged me into every gin mill on the block.
And they have such great banter back and forth. Like, I think the maitre d' of the hotel, the bar they're in, comes running over.
Afraid we shall take the dog out.
Oh, it's all right, Joe. It's all right. It's my dog. And my wife.
Well, you might have mentioned me first on the billing.
Glad the dog got mentioned first.
And he says it's because the dog is well trained.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's so many little pot shots that they take at each other.
Great.
But again, their chemistry is amazing because they ended up making 6 Thin Man movies in total, but William Powell and Myrna Loy ended up making 14 movies
Oh, wow.
together.
So I kind of think Nick is kind of hot. We were talking about this before. He reminds me a little bit of a Gomez Adams.
Okay.
And I think I would be shocked if... Is it Tim Curry that plays Gomez?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would be
No.
really...
No,
Wait, it's not.
no, Raul,
Raul
Julia.
Julia.
Yeah,
Okay,
Raul
I would
Julia.
be shocked if he didn't find some inspiration for his Gomez from this character.
He may have. So I would say Nick and Nora are pretty famous because they had the 6 movies. Then in the 50s, there was a radio show, and I'm not sure who played Nick and Nora in the long-running kind of radio show. But then in the later 50s, there was a TV show, The Thin Man. I'm not sure if it was The Thin Man or if it was just called like Nick and Nora Charles. But Peter Lawford from the Rat Pack played.
Oh, okay.
That was kind of like his big claim to fame is he played Nick on TV. And then for you guys, there was a podcast. I think it's defunct now, but the Thrilling Adventure Hour, which is where they kind of do like a parody of kind of what you guys do. It's like old time radio, but Paul F. Tompkins and Paget Brewster play a parody of Nick and Nora Charles, but instead
Okay.
of solving mysteries, they solve like paranormal type adventure
cool.
stuff.
That's awesome.
And they're always drinking. That's the big thing is just
There you go.
them always drinking. Like they go to a New Year's Eve party at their house.
Yes, and everybody is loaded.
Yes.
Yes.
And there's these just weird. This is one of those things you just like watch it and you're like, that probably didn't need to happen. That like the weird guy that's like, I have to call my mother
Yes.
in San Francisco, but I don't have a nickel. And he finally gets his mom on the phone, and the cop is like, get off the phone. I got to call the station.
And if you notice, there is one point where he introduces his wife to one of the guys at the party. He's like, yeah, Nick, he sent me away for 6 years,
Yes.
So, and this is a recurring theme through a lot of the movies that they always end up having some big party at their house. And the majority of the guests,
Are people he's sent
That
to
he's
jail?
okay.
but none of them have any like hard
No
feelings
beef.
or ill wills.
Yeah.
Like he was really nice about it. Like, I deserved what I got.
You set me up.
Like even the Shemp from the Three Stooges, he's in a later movie of a guy. This is back. Eventually, they have a little baby, Nick and Nora Charles. But somehow he decides it's a good idea of all his ex-con friends bring all their babies over to the apartment to have just like a play
Which
date.
one is this in?
This is
a different...
I think it's probably Son of the Thin Man or something. Yeah, Son of the Thin Man. I believe it's the third movie. But anyway, so like one thing I really, really like about this movie is the how they play off of each other. And there's no never any conflict between the two of them.
No.
Like they are always on the same team, even when the daughter of the murder victim or the missing man comes to him and he brings her into another room and she's crying on his shoulder, and Nora comes in and he just kind of gives her like this look, is like, yeah, I have this young chick crying on my shoulder, and she just kind of like turns her nose up at him, and then but then is right on board, like helping this girl out and protecting her from the press. What other things did you pick up on the movie? We were talking about it before we started, is that all the female characters look exactly alike.
It was confusing.
Really confusing.
I got really confused. The mistress of Wyant. Am I saying this correct?
Is it Wyatt or Wyatt?
It's like Wyant. Like it's
W-E-Y-E-N-T
well, the way they
or
pronounce
something?
everything is weird. Like I thought for the entirety of the movie, I thought the dog's name was Aster, and I went to look it up, and the dog's actual name is Asta. There is no
Asta.
R. It's
Right.
Oh, okay.
Asta. So yeah,
It's because of that transatlantic
Yeah.
So like
dialect.
the
Asta.
mistress secretary that gets killed.
Yes. And the wife of Wyant
Yes.
look exactly the same.
And the trashy Mimi or Mamie.
Yeah, so you have the scientist who gets killed.
the thin man.
The
Right.
thin man.
Yeah.
You have his ex-wife. You have his mistress /
Julia Wolf.
secretary.
That
And
used to
then-
be a hooker.
Yeah, exactly. She's very shady.
Yeah.
But then there's this other subplot with this gangster and his girlfriend, which again, I'm not quite sure who they were
He
or
was
how
like an informant, right?
Right.
And he was that is one of the other kind of like through lines through this movie is everybody has a weird name, so weird that I cannot remember them. Like it's like Needleheim or Niedenheim. Like,
Yeah.
it sounds like some like land that Thor would have to visit or something. Weird. But yeah, and like they get in a fight and she throws a bucket at him.
You open your mouth and I'll pop a tooth out of it.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah.
Cut it out. We didn't come here to watch you two roughhouse.
Right. Yeah. It is weird, like just weird domestic violence all over the place.
Yes.
In this movie. Even Nick, Nick does punch out his wife at one, granted it's to save her life. Yeah. But and again, they play like they're gonna slap each other and beat each other up.
You're talking about the couple that gets interrogated and the cops are like, we didn't come here to watch a roughhouse.
Yeah.
That
But
was really random.
But then when they all end up, thankfully the secretary at this point is dead, but when they end up in the room together, I had forgotten that this Mamie person existed. And I'm like, why is his ex-wife trashy and like from Brooklyn now?
Yeah.
Like, I don't, and then I saw the ex-wife and I'm like, oh, that lady. Okay. Yeah, they all look the same.
Yeah, they didn't, or maybe they did do it on purpose.
I don't know.
they were
Maybe
trying
that's what I guess women look like. Because if you think about it, like, because this was 1934.
Yes.
I believe.
Mhm.
Like, a lot of like Fay Wray from like King Kong and stuff like that. She had that look. Now that I think about
I
it,
thought Myrna Loy and the girl that played the daughter looked a little bit alike.
Maura O'Sullivan.
yeah,
Yes.
Maura Sullivan. Yeah.
Yeah, I got them confused
they did.
briefly when they introduced them both in the same like vicinity.
Yeah, although I would say Myrna Loy by far is the most striking out of all of them. Like I said, when we were down at the Charleston Comedy Festival, Hillary and Alex and I, we got into this talk about like who's like the actress you have like a major crush on, and
it's her.
And I mentioned
thought
her
that we were talking.
Okay.
I kept thinking of that game that we were playing on the way down.
Oh, the celebrity game.
Celebrity game, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I
Although
thought
I
we
probably
brought her up.
I think I brought her up.
I think
then,
you
yeah.
did, yeah.
So all the Thin Man movies, they kind of have a formula. There's some sort of crime or murder that Nick doesn't want any part of, and Nora forces him into taking the case. There's always some big party at their house where they have usually half the guests are cops and the other half are crooks. And then at the end, it's always a big kind of where he invites everybody who might be a suspect to
dinner or whatever.
To dinner or one room. Yeah, and then he has the big reveal. And then again, throughout, they're just like little kind of fun moments. Like I said, it's whenever they're on screen together. Like the scene, it's Christmas morning, and she's bought him an air rifle.
Yes, that scene. Yes.
Yeah, and he's just sitting on the couch shooting
her Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Yes.
And supposedly that came from like an improv moment where they were setting up the lights or something like that, and he just took the gun and started shooting props, and they decided to put it in it. And then
the other weird thing that I definitely was like, I have to talk about this. The son.
Oh, Gilbert.
Oh
yes.
my God.
Yeah, I thought he did it the whole time.
Wyatt. Okay.
I was like, he did it.
Now, here's what. All right. So I'm watching this thing, and he's very odd. Like he wants to see the dead body.
He reminds me of you a lot.
He reminded me of you. I want to see that. I've never seen a dead body. I want to see the dead body. He's gay, right?
Yeah. And maybe a serial killer?
I don't know, Scott, is he?
Well, okay, so at one point, and I'm like, okay, that's veiled. So at one point, he's accusing the daughter, Maureen O'Sullivan, of having an Oedipal complex because there's so many people in this movie. The dead guy's ex-wife is married to
some like hoodlum dude.
Yeah, Cesar Romero. That is Cesar Romero. Joker
No
from
way.
the Batman show.
Wait, is it? I love Cesar Romero, and I did not even notice that.
I know
Well, he was
this
in
guy.
it for like 5 seconds.
Yeah. So she's married to him, even though she shouldn't have been, because he's also married to
some
someone
other.
else.
Yeah.
But this weird son accuses the daughter of having an Oedipal complex with the mother and then stepdad. And he's like, well, I do have a fixation on our mother, but it hasn't quite gotten that bad yet. And she's like, oh, stop. And they just kind of move on. And then like later on, he's like, I go to the library and read books.
He's very
What? Okay.
Is that it was one of those things? Is that a character choice? Is it in the script? Like it's just so
there's
weird.
That other point, the detective is there, and he's just like staring at the guy in the face. I'm like, what is up with this dude? What is going on with this dude?
Guess it's pre-code, so I mean, I guess they
couldn't say it.
Yeah, they couldn't say it, but they could hint at it. Whereas a few years later, they wouldn't even be able to hint at it. But
wait, what is this pre-code?
Yeah, so it was kind of like how you have rated G, PG.
Yeah.
They didn't have that, but they had this. I think it's the Hays Code, where there were certain things you could and could not do. But even though this was pre-code before there was any restrictions, they're still like in separate beds.
Yep.
Which is.
So the end. Can we talk about the end real quick?
Yeah.
They throw the dog onto the second bunk.
Oh yeah, that was.
Yeah.
I was like, did they just throw the real dog? I think they threw the real dog.
He tossed
It was
that
the
dog.
real
yeah.
dog.
Yes.
But again, and implying that they were going to sleep in the same bed together, which is a big no-no back in those days. Even
Which
if
is
you're married.
also the other weird but cute thing throughout this movie is just the weird cutaways of the dog reacting to whatever's going on. Just like,
I like the dog.
It's kind of like Petey from the Little Rascals. It was just, it was like either hiding or like covering
and that
his
was the
face.
End. Yep,
Yeah,
he covered his face. Yep. Oh, because he didn't want to watch them do it.
there's so much going on in this movie.
Like I said, there is a lot. There is quite a lot. Like I said, it's one of those things. This out of the series, this is not my favorite, but it's weird to like have you start watching the second one first when you don't get to know.
I definitely want to watch another one.
But like the first, so it's an hour and a half long, and I would honestly say the first 30 minutes is really good because you're kind of like, okay, what is happening here with this old dude that disappears? And then of course they come on and they're awesome. There's that next 30 minutes with like the gangster guy and the weird whatever he like the mole or whatever, and then the ex-wife and that whole weird thing. And then it comes back about the last 30 minutes where they're talking about planning to try to figure out and doing the dinner party. And it's really good at the dinner party too. Like it's just that middle part. You're like, okay.
And I think they get a lot better of not separating the two of them as much as like for this one, Nick was off doing a lot of the footwork, the detective work so you don't see Nora for long chunks of time. And I think they learn is like the more they're on screen together, the better. Yeah. So in the later episodes, she has a much more active hand in like, solving, not so much solving, normally like getting herself into trouble or whatnot. All right. So for people who haven't seen The Thin Man, what would you recommend it?
Definitely. I definitely would. Yeah. Just for the two of them alone having fun with each other and how good they are together is really good. And I can see him being I didn't find him particularly attractive, but he's interesting to watch. She's the best thing in this whole movie.
Oh, yeah.
She's amazing to watch. Yeah, I would.
Do you think that they figured that out during the movie and that's why this became so popular? Like, was that the intent? I think they had originally.
I think they had done 2 movies previous to this, and it was there that they knew that they had something.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And then this was because again, there's only one Thin Man book, but it was such a big hit, and I want to say Dashiell Hammett at least had a help in writing the scripts for a couple of the others, and I think it was the same director directed almost all the Thin Man. I think he eventually died, so somebody else came in and did like the last 2. But I think they already knew that these two had chemistry. And then this one was such a huge hit that they just, let's see how far we can ride this train.
Yeah.
Nice.
No. And like I said, I've seen a bunch of other of their movies, non-Thin Man movies. And again, they're just something electric
about them
between the two of them that just works. Good. Yeah.
They're so good.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right, so that is The Thin Man. We went way back to the 30s for this episode of The Nerds of Comedy. Where can people get more info about Faces for Radio?
Facebook.com/Faces for Radio, a live radio play. Just look for us, Faces for Radio, a live radio play.
Yeah. I will put a link in the description because on the Push Comedy Theater YouTube page, we just uploaded one of your guys' shows.
That's right.
Yeah. So I will put that link so people can watch that.
And also Earprov.
Earprov.
So Earprov, you can find
Matt Cole, our sound engineer. That is his baby. Give a shout out for Matt.
Producer Matt Cole.
Yeah.
He's silent today. All right. This has been The Nerds of Comedy, The Thin Man. We will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.